Yeah. You have no rhythm. No rhythm. It's amazing. Irish kids just don't come with rhythm. But they will put Pepto-Bismol in a beer. Yeah. Yo, what's up? How you guys doing? What's going on? Our cackle of hyenas. Welcome to another episode of History Hyenas with the matriarch Chrissy D and the first lieutenant Freddie Fettuccine Yannis Pappas,
a.k.a. Cuckface,
a.k.a. Obi-Wan Cucknobi, and of course we're always joined by which is translated into Zach Isis Face.
Bardo, the whitewash church, has not come into the studio in upwards of 3 months, so he has abandoned ship. So if you see Bardo Church in the streets, just look for someone that looks like a candy cane with a heartbeat. Just go ahead and punch him in the spine.
I can't believe you still bring up Bardo Church. I haven't even thought about Bardo Church in 6 years.
Yo, you know who I beat my dick off to?
Who?
Bardo Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You beat your dick off to kind of some offbeat things.
I have an interesting relationship with masturbation. So, first of all, I still to this day do not jerk north to south. I don't do that like a standard jerk. I don't do that. I actually make my hands like a pillow almost, and I just rub the base of my penis and spew it into my belly button.
Like it was a clit.
Exactly.
Yeah. You kind of wishing it was a clit.
I wish it was a clit.
You don't stroke. You kind of rub.
I rub. Yeah. I finger my asshole. Yeah.
Plus, as a Catholic kid, it's a little bit of a self-flagellation, right? Like there's guilt every time you yank one out,
you
right?
You can't, yeah. You're not
every
allowed
time
to masturbate, have premarital sex, curse.
Do you feel that while you're doing it, the guilt?
I did at times, yeah. I did when I was younger. You know, my mom would say the angels, making the angels cry, or, how do you think your teachers feel about you masturbating? You know, because I got caught jerking my piece like at least 3 or 4 times by Mom Dukes.
Really?
Yeah, because I would just jerk my piece with the door open.
You would, huh?
Yeah, and I would be playing video games, and then I would just get horned up, and I'd press, pause, and then I just start cranking it, with Donkey Kong on pause.
Yeah, the doctors might have squeezed your head by accident a little bit.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean,
you're a fucking wild kid.
Cause it is 9,000 degrees out in New York City today.
Yeah, let us record this for posterity right now. For after we die, there'll be some kids listening to this because the History Hyenas podcast will be a classic. Mm-hmm. On August 28th, New York City feels like death outside.
It's hotter here. First of all, I looked at the weather. It's the hottest place right now of any major U.S. city besides Death Valley is right now in New York City today.
I brought my dog out for 15 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I care about my dog's life. You're going to just be a hopped-up puppy with a lot of energy inside and alive today.
Today's episode is all about the history of tobacco.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because what I want you guys to envision, if you envision those sweltering conditions that we've just described in New York City. I mean, it's fucking hot. People have their shirts off. People stink. Fire hydrants are open all over the city right now because people just want to take Puerto Rican showers. And the thing is that when you were picking tobacco in the fields of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, the deep South, it was about 15 degrees hotter, 30% more humidity, and you were wearing wool clothes. And you were black.
Yeah, they hadn't invented shorts yet.
No, shorts weren't. If you wore shorts, it was like a sign from the devil that you couldn't show your legs.
Yeah, the Under Armour didn't have all that like sweat absorbent technology yet.
Not yet. It was coming out pretty soon, but dry fit wasn't invented yet.
Those kids were fucking hot out there.
Yeah, they were hot.
Yeah.
Fucking hot. Yeah, so tobacco. Today's episode is going to be about the history of tobacco. And let me tell you something. It gets fucking wild.
It fucking wild.
And it involves some people that you've heard of that you can't believe are a part of this whole thing.
Yeah. And that your kids heard of.
Your kids heard of. Yeah.
Wow.
And that truth be told, that I used to spank off to when I was a little kid.
Unfortunately, that's usually going to be the case no matter who we talk about.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that Chrissy Cackles fucking yanked it out to that person.
You know who I
Benny Frank, doesn't matter who we're talking about. You split some goo to one of the founding fathers. Yeah.
You know who I yanked it to, or what I used to yank it to religiously?
Wade Boggs.
Wade Boggs, but also the scene in the movie True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis, when Jamie Lee Curtis is dancing like
That
a
is
stripper.
a sexy scene.
Yeah, I used to fucking wing it to that.
Well, there's your answer.
Yep.
Because I used to. That scene's a hot scene for all straight kids. Officially, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get a government stamped, sanctioned answer. You're a straight kid.
I'll believe that I'm straight if you can explain to me.
You don't have to put a dick in your mouth to see how it feels to know you're straight.
Okay, then let me just tell you this.
Yeah.
Why then, as a child, did I remember all my friends' birthdays, and as I've gotten older, even as recently as yesterday, text my friends happy birthday try to do it at 12:01. I text you at 12:01 because I always want to be the first person to wish you happy birthday. That's one. Two, all I wanted as a child was a pet bunny rabbit. And then when I got the pet bunny rabbit, I named it Annabelle, which is a woman's name. I did that. And three, I love Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
And four, when I would go like swimming and stuff like that, I would be the only kid who wore a swim cap. That's a gay thing to do. I used to.
It must have been an extra large swim cap.
Why did I put on? My cousin who lived downstairs from me, who was a girl. Why did I put on her clothes? Like when nobody would even dare me to do it, I would just do it and walk around and laugh.
I used to do the same thing. Yeah, because we're
but you're open about you want to be transgender.
Yeah, well, we're funny kids and we like to have a good time, and we don't really like boundaries and laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run on the sides of buildings on rooftops.
Why did I eat vegan food today? That's not something a straight kid would do.
You're probably going into another exercise phase where you're going to say, I'm going to strictly do vegan food for 3 days, and then you'll make it 3 days, and then on the fourth day, you will face fuck a banana chocolate chip pancake on one side, and on the other side, a triple sundae.
Last week, I tried to go, in 1 week, I tried to do intermittent fasting, keto, and go gluten-free all in the same week.
Yeah.
And then for Yannis and I's birthday, I coordinated a party that the great Mike Cannon came to, and a couple of our other great James Mad Dog Matter, thank you, Bubbas, and a couple of our other comedy friends came to at the Renaissance Faire in upstate New York. And Yannis hated every minute of it, but because I was like, all right, I have a cheat day now because I'm on my keto, intermittent fasting, vegan-friendly, GMO-free diet where I only fucking blueberries. I eat a handful of blueberries and take one sip of water once a week. I fucking had, in one sitting, a waffle with chocolate ice cream, bananas, chocolate syrup, and whipped cream. Then I had
dirty slice of pizza,
fish and chips, and a few bites of a turkey leg, and 3 beers.
Yeah.
And then we left the Renaissance Faire, and I had cacio e pepe, which is the pasta where they actually make it in a wheel of cheese with fried calamari that was 1,000% not actual calamari from a squid. It was 1,000% imitation calamari, which is pig anus, and that's a fact.
It tasted like garbage, like actually eating garbage.
Yes.
It was fucking gross.
Gross. I've never seen Yannis spit food back out into a napkin.
I did.
But he spit food back into a napkin.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yo, the one thing nobody ever talks about in history, and the one thing that you can't really know from reading or watching movies or documentaries about history, and we've talked about it before, but I got a little insight into it at the Renaissance Faire.
Yeah.
That history fucking smelled like shit.
Yep.
Everywhere.
Yep.
People were dirty. There was animals and livestock and horses everywhere.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to live apart from shit. So there was just shit everywhere.
Of course.
There was no washing machines, cuz.
No.
Because at the Renaissance Faire, those white people were fucking dirty.
There was an actual job that you could get that was called a shit shoveler.
Yeah.
That's the job.
Pretty good job.
It was a union job. Like you had families of people's jobs who their whole job was to shovel the shit from out of the middle of the street and get it to a side or throw it. Well, we talk about the Black Plague in the 1500s. That's what it comes from, is because they were throwing their waste in London into the water.
Yeah.
That's just what happened.
Yeah, and we talked about the 5 Points right there. That little lake in the middle of the 5 Points was just full of decomposing animal parts, shit, waste, just right there in the middle of the town.
And they would drink that water.
I mean, but even if they didn't drink it, I don't think they drank it, but it was just right in the middle of town.
Yeah.
To just make the 5 points right in the middle of the town of that neighborhood, just made the whole place stink.
You wouldn't go out. You wouldn't come outside last week and go into you know what, dude, when it was raining out because you don't want to get your Jordans wet.
Yeah.
Now, could you imagine trying to walk your Jordans through the fucking shit-filled streets of the 5 Points?
Dude, New York City on a day like this,
Couldn't wear Jordans.
on a garbage day when they put garbage out, it smells. Just imagine what it smelled like in 1803. Fucking disgusting.
Imagine Chinatown now, how bad it smells. Could you imagine what it smelled like 200 years ago?
Wow. How can you smell worse than Chinatown today? That's a tough one.
Are you kidding? Chinatown today would be a fucking perfume store in 1803.
I don't know. I think that's the only place that probably smells the same.
Yeah.
Because that place smells bad.
Because the Chinese, they just throw their fish heads out everywhere. They fucking, yeah.
Yeah, because we're too old to go to a Renaissance fair. That was weird to just be a bunch of adults. And the people that go and dress up and bring fake axes and dress like English, British soldiers on horses, it's fucking wild. The joust part was the only part I liked.
I'm not going to lie to you. That was my 5th birthday of my 34 birthdays that was spent at the Renaissance Fair in upstate New York.
You're Lenny. You're of Mice of Men.
Franks and Beans, baby.
Yeah, a little bit.
Will you go to Medieval Times?
No.
You won't do Medieval Times?
No, that's the last time I'm ever going to a Renaissance
Zachy Isis, you want to go to Medieval Times?
I'll go.
You want to fucking bring this? You want to bring this country back to Medieval Times?
Yeah, he
How
does.
historically accurate was this place?
No, it's not really about it's kind of just like, kind of how like Game of Thrones isn't really historically accurate, but you get like the feeling that you're in medieval England. Like that's kind of what the Renaissance
Fair is. The Renaissance time. They do it like
time,
it's like Victorian England. Everyone's dressed like that. You saw people dressed as soldiers walking around with like those chain kind of undergarments.
Oh, it's medieval England.
Lots of fucking cleavage.
Yeah.
Those dresses used to push boobs up.
Well, because back in the day,
guys used to get horned up bad.
Horned up because back in the day, sex, it was just a primal animalistic thing. It was like you weren't going to be on the planet this long, so it wasn't like, oh, let's go on a few dates and then try to bang out. It's like, I think you're hot, you think I'm hot, we're only going to be alive for another 15 minutes, so let's create a babe.
Good point.
That's what it was. That's the truth of it.
And you were like a full-grown woman at 12 or 13, which is fucking wild back then. Yes.
Yo, cuz tobacco. This is your fuck. Now let me tell you something. Here's how it works. You want to think because Yannis is a cute Greek kid. Our podcast.
Look, you can deny a lot of things in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You can deny the existence of God. You can deny that ghosts are real. You can even deny that global warming exists. But there's one thing you can't deny.
Right.
You know what it is?
What?
I'm a cute fucking kid.
You're a cute fucking kid.
Yeah.
I can't. Here's things I truly I cannot tonight.
Yeah.
Giannis is a cute fucking kid.
Yeah.
Giannis has no butt.
Yeah.
And my idea of a perfect Sunday afternoon would be to lay on the beach, rub Giannis's feet, and drink pina coladas. Yeah. Those are 3 things I cannot deny.
Because you do not hesitate to say the most uncomfortable, gayest things of all time, cuz.
Yeah, but the thing is, I would not in that scenario, if I wanted to lay on the beach with you on a Sunday night and rub your feet, it would be for you, and drink pina coladas, it's kind of for me and for you. I would never want to suck your dick or like stick my dick in your butt, but I would just like to, we figured out, I like to women for the physical pleasure aspect of it, but I fall in love with men.
Because you know what? Reality is just a suggestion for you. You're not going to be around here long. I'm not even going to have to walk you up to Poughkeepsie.
I'm going to walk myself up?
Your life is walking yourself up to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
Your existence is a walk in and of itself up to Poughkeepsie. You're headed to Poughkeepsie. That's where you're going, cuz.
Yeah.
You're walking up a hill to get fucking put down by God. You're going to get whacked by God.
So it'll be a sad day.
AKA the simulators.
Yeah. So it'll be a sad day, but it'll be, I'll be missed. Because I bring people entertainment. That's what you think.
You just roll around. You're always bopping. You're always moving. You always got a jersey on. You're always needing to take a piss. You're always throwing pizza in your face. Like
yeah,
you're
but then saying it's keto.
Yeah, then talking about how you're gonna get ripped so you can be a leading man. Then you're just stuffing banana waffles in your face. You got 16 apartments. You're just all over the place.
I got a hotel room for tonight for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, you're a fucking wild kid.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
What are you going to do?
I caught a video. If you go to History Hyenas on Instagram, please follow us there. I gotta have.
Yeah,
video.
we changed the name, by the way. History Hyenas. History Hyenas podcast is now the new Instagram.
No, it's just History Hyenas. Oh, History Hyenas podcast.
History
yeah.
Hyenas podcast is the new Instagram. So if you already followers of us on Bay Ridge Boys, you'll notice the name change. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, it is now History Hyenas podcast. But our Patreon is still patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys.
Correct. And
So we are just making things confusing because we don't want anyone to follow us.
It's History Hyenas podcast. And no, the Patreon, the link's there on the Instagram. We always talk about it.
Yeah.
I saw you running by the water in Bay Ridge, and you were running and walking.
Yep.
You got a big butt to carry around.
Yeah. I got a big butt, and I thought...
Big butt Chris.
Because I,
BBC.
Because I went on, I've been on keto and, vegan, not eating meat. I was like, I definitely lost weight. And then I've gained 3 pounds in the past 2 months. So,
Yeah. You just got to learn how to do things
In moderation.
Because you got an addictive personality and fucking nicotine. You got to admit, I love it. And it's one of the most addictive things in the world. People are willing to stand out in freezing cold temperatures or days like today where you, to smoke stoves because you're not allowed to smoke inside anymore.
and lose their fucking jaw and their lungs to smoking. Now, see, what I was getting at before is you would think that because, this is the Bay Ridge Boys, this is the History Hyenas, Yannis is a Greek kid, Freddie Feta Cheese, that it's a democracy. But make no mistake, this is a dictatorship led by fucking Freddie fucking cuckface Yannis Pappas.
Absolutely.
So I had no choice in I was just told to learn about tobacco, and let me tell you something. When I started learning it, because at first I was like, I don't want to do it. I want to, you know me, guys. You know me.
Your fucking leg down. Your thighs are fucking reflecting off the light and blinding you, cuz. Your thighs are so white.
Yeah. I just wanted. If it was up to me, every single week's podcast would be about the history of fucking Ace of Base, Whitney Houston, or the Yankees. I would just pick a different Yankee and just do the history of him. But, Giannis makes the rules, so we're doing tobacco. But the only reason I'm bringing it up is because when I started to do, because at first he forced me to do the research on tobacco, but when I did it, I found some things that were fucking wild.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating about tobacco is it is the story of America, really.
It's the story of us.
The first colony, and we're talking about 13 years before Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts. Before the Pilgrims, the first colony in America was Jamestown.
Yeah, we know a lot. Jamestown is fucking kind of a wild place.
Wild place, guys. Imagine 3 ships went over there. I think 1 ship didn't even make it. So these people fucking landed down. Most of them were like upper-class Englishmen. They were sent by the Virginia-London Company.
Which was like the Virginia-London Company is like, it was like an exploration was like a fucking business back then. Now we've explored everything. So like the Virginia-London Company was like, like any tyrannical fucking company, like, they're like Exxon, like Mobil Exxon now. Like their goal is to like, Mobil Exxon just wants to put oil everywhere and they'll kill anyone in their way. That's what the Virginia-London Company was like. We're exploring. We're going to get there, and we're going to kill the people that we find there. We're going to make believe we're going to be nice to them, and then we're just going to kill them all because there's a lot of money in these new lands.
Yeah, and it's funny because Virginia is named after that company. That would be like if Nike went somewhere and developed a colony, and then that place was just called Nike Town.
Yeah.
Which
is a nice
is
store on
wild
Fifth
to think
Avenue.
about. But yeah, companies been doing that forever. The East India Company, they're looking for resources to make profit because people in Europe have an appetite for these certain things, whether it be sugar, tobacco, toots, meat, whatever it is, spices,
Salt was big, guys.
whatever it is, mushrooms, fucking opiates, whatever natural resources you got.
Natty Reese.
Companies are going to come and get them. Sometime use the military of those countries. Sometimes they got their own fucking military.
What are you going to do?
They pay mercenaries.
It is what it is.
So listen, the Spanish kids were already in fucking America before Jamestown, and they were doing well. Spanish kids were doing well. And when I mean Spanish, I don't mean Puerto Rican, I don't mean Colombian. I'm talking Rafa Nadal fucking Spanish.
You're talking about España.
España.
I am from España.
Let's go to Ibiza.
Ibiza. So, yeah, because don't forget, España, right now we just look at Spain as like, a country that's like half divided, about to go into civil war. It's just got a bunch of cute fucking kids that play soccer, and you just think about they're the white Spanish people, they're the European Spaniards. They're like the England, basically, Spain to me, when I think about Spain and the way they speak Spanish, it's so formal, it's all in the ustedes. I think about Spain as like they speak Spanish the way the British speak English, and every other country is just slanged up, like Puerto Ricans and Nicaraguans. They just speak like fucking Brooklyn mozzarella sticks. But when you talk in Spanish, they are speaking the Queen's Spanish.
¿Dónde está la muchacha?
Donde está? My name is Jeff.
Yo quiero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of I would like coffee.
Yeah, it's coffee.
Can I have a cafe latte, please?
Yeah. So they were huge back,
Because upper class British sound like they got constipation problem bad.
Yeah, Bardo Church's whole family's from upper class.
Sounds like they're fucking choked up.
So wait. Let me ask you a question.
Ask away, cuz.
But so then who was the first? Did the Spanish get to the United States first, or were the British there?
Spanish were there, cuz.
So Spanish were there. So Jamestown, British people colonized Jamestown.
Yeah.
But the Spanish were there, and now we're not talking. We're talking about Spanish from Spain. We're not talking about the Native Americans.
That's right.
Because the Native American people there were called Taínos. Yeah. And guess what group? Guess what we call Taínos? People with Taíno heritage now.
Mexicans, build a fucking wall.
No, cuz.
Yeah.
We call them. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Huepa. Puerto Ricans.
Adios, the Puerto Ricans.
The Puerto Ricans. My daughter's half Taíno, cuz.
That's it.
Mauricio Rodriguez,
We're going to
Taíno.
have a party tonight. Everybody come to my house.
Cuz, let me ask you a question. In 1617, would Mauricio Rodriguez be able to keep that ass pussy clean?
She would be able to definitely keep the ass pussy clean because there's only eating vegetarians. Because let me tell you something. The Native Americans used to just eat corn and they ate a lot of vegetables. So that's it.
Okay, let me just, it's fucking great. And just understand that Yannis just turned 43 years old, just showed up to the podcast late again in a fucking, white T-shirt with armpit stains underneath.
Oh, my
and he gets
pointing forward, though?
He's gotten paid 6 figures for multiple years in a row by doing that voice that you just heard. How fucking wild is Yannis Pappas' life?
Yeah.
The simulators have a good fucking time with him.
Yo, me and you, cuz, we're going down early.
Yeah.
Yo, bright stars shine, bright but short, cuz.
Short, yeah.
So the Spanish were here, and when they landed on Jamestown, they picked Jamestown by the James River because of how deep the water was up until the land. So you could dock your boats right up and tie them to those trees. They were fucking nervous of the Spanish kids that were around there coming and invading them and killing them.
But it doesn't matter how deep that water was, Jesus could still walk on it. Always remember that.
That's true.
That is true.
JC
That's just a fact.
Yeah. So they wanted to keep those boats ready.
But geographically, where is Jamestown?
Virginia.
No, I know it's in Virginia, but is it
James River, cuz?
So is that South Virginia, North Virginia? What part of Virginia is it, Zach? Do we know where? Is Jamestown still a place today? By the way, can you go visit Jamestown?
You could go tour it. Yeah.
Do you want to go on a fucking Jamestown tour, cuz?
Only if it's with you, and only if you rub my feet on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamestown's still there, and you can tour it. But
no, do you want to do it? Seriously, do you?
We have to do it.
We're gonna do it. I'm saying it right now, so it is set in stone, and it'll push Fox News Freddie Feder to fucking do it, because a lot of times he just fucking just withers away and he doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to go walk around and look at trees when we got to make fucking content for you people. I am saying on the podcast that within the next month there will be on Patreon a behind-the-scenes video of our visit to Jamestown, Virginia, and Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. Yeah.
Well, that's 3 years, and you only said 2, so there's got to be one more.
Oh, one more thing?
Yeah.
My visit to a plastic surgeon.
Monticello. Yeah.
Yeah, Monticello. Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna go to the amusement park. Busch Gardens. Yeah.
No, we're not going to Busch Gardens. Yeah. We're doing all history stuff.
All right.
No Franks and Beans stuff.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I got the perfect thing. Colonial Williamsburg.
Yeah.
This is because it's being said on the podcast. This will be on Patreon. Now we have to do it. That's the thing. We have to do it now. Colonial Williamsburg, Jamestown, Virginia. On the way back, just switch it up, but it's still history. We're going to visit Babe Ruth's house in Baltimore, Maryland.
Wow.
On the way back. Yeah. So if the Orioles are in town, we're going to stop and watch a Baltimore Orioles game, because I know the center fielder, Adam Jones. He's a good friend. Yeah. So he's got a nice big butt. Yeah.
So we're talking about we're talking about the beginning of the 1600s here.
It's a fucking long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
So they came here, and they were sanctioned by James I, King James, who
everyone was named James back then. James or John, right?
James, Elizabeth, and Victoria. I think that's the only 3 names, and a John. You threw a John in. There's like 4 British names that everybody fucking had.
Is the name Yannis just John in Greek?
It is.
Okay. So a lot of people were named Yannis back in the day.
Yeah, here's your HHFOD on the History Hyenas podcast.
Hufad.
Yeah, John, translated into Greek is Yannis. In German, Johann. Yeah. Yeah, every because it's one of the saints and a Latin name, everyone's got a translation for John.
Yo, you know it was a good show back in the day? Dear John.
Dear John.
Good show.
I don't even remember that.
You don't remember? I used to watch Dear John with my mom a lot.
So, check this out, cuz. So the colony went there, and they had big beef with Indians over there. That area.
And when we say Indians, we don't mean like from India. We're talking about Native Americans.
We're talking about Native Americans. We're talking about
the Algonquins, the Iroquois.
The Asiatic people. They came when the Bering Strait froze over. Those people walked from Asia, and then they went to North America. And be honest, those Asians got tanned up.
Yeah,
they got a tan. They turned into Puerto Ricans, cuz.
Yeah,
because they were Asian kids, and then I guess thousands of years later, they became fucking Puerto Rican kids.
Puerto Ricans can tan out.
They tan out.
Yeah, my daughter's tan as fuck right now.
Because the native people, like, that they call now mestizo, kind of their look, they're tan. But they were originally Chinese kids.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think when they first arrived, when the settlers first arrived on from Jamestown.
In 1603.
In 1603, and they saw the Taínos. Indians. Did the Taínos have tattoos on their tits? What
Absolute.
do you think? Is it? What do you think? It's true or false?
Absolute.
Yeah.
I think they did.
100%.
100%.
Now, do you think their fucking women were sexy as fuck with nice big fat asses and very sexual?
I think they were tiny people.
Tiny little peeps, right? Yeah.
I think they were kind of small.
Yeah.
I think they were little. They were short kids.
Yeah.
Because they descended from Asian kids. Like they descended from Chinese kids.
Right.
So you know how a lot of Asians are small.
Yeah.
And like you look at a lot of Mexicans now, they're small. A lot of them have mostly native DNA.
That's true.
Native genes.
That's true.
They're small kids.
Now, do you think, knowing, like putting yourself in the mindset of a Native American person, when they saw these ships of people coming in, do you think, because they're kind of isolated on their lands right there, and they may not have known like what was happening with the exploration, but they're seeing new people. Do you think in their minds, in the leaders' minds, when they saw the ship of white men coming in, were they saying cutes or brutes? What do you think?
They were probably going a little bit of both. They probably thought, holy shit,
because they didn't think they were going to be killed.
Yeah, they didn't.
Or enslaved.
When Columbus came over, he actually used science to trick them and made them think. Because look, they didn't have the advantage because they had just a couple dudes coming over to a place where there was thousands of Indians.
Yeah.
So they were able to make them believe that they were gods.
Yeah.
And that's how they were able to subjugate
make no
all
mistake,
of them.
Even to this day, and I just witnessed this because I just came back from the Amish country in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we went on an Amish buggy ride, and we were sitting in the front row, and the guy who was like 55-year-old Amish man who's been living on a farm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, colonial Dutch, Pennsylvania Dutch farm his whole life, and the Amish, if you don't know anything about the Amish, they don't use electricity, they don't use lights, they only know their world. In Pennsylvania, they're farming. They still farm tobacco in Pennsylvania. And we were on the tour with a family from Spain, actually. They were actually from Spain. And the Spanish guy, the conquistador of the group, he asked the guy who was at the reins of the buggy, who, by the way, was hitting on my mom incessantly, and my mom was giggling back, hitting on him. And I thought my mom was just going to be like, I'm fucking going to live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Because make no mistake, even though my mom has got her shit together, the reason why Chrissy D's a little wild, my mom has got a part in that. My mom could get fucking wild and move the entire family, the entire operation to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and become full-blown fucking Amish overnight. Make no mistake.
That would have been your stepdad, Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham Zechariah. And, that guy smelled like pure horse shit. Literally, I thought it was the horse shit, but then I was like, no, it's this guy's fucking beard.
Yeah.
And anyway, he asked the man from Spain.
Yeah.
He said, "Do they have horses in Spain?" And the man said, "What do you mean, like that do buggies? That do this kind of thing?" And he said, "No. Do you have the animal, the horse, in your country, or is it just here?" And
he doesn't know anything.
And I said, listen, you stupid fuck.
Yeah.
No, I said, I didn't say anything because I was dumbfounded, but I was like, what do you, like, he was so in a bubble that he wasn't sure if the animal he was on that actually originated in Spain, I mean, it's Spanish horses, that actually originated in Spain was only in Pennsylvania. So if that's happening in 2018 with technology, imagine what was happening in 1603 when you didn't know anything. You didn't basically knew, keep in mind, in 1603, and a lot of times before that and after that, just until recently do we know people, you only knew the people in your village, and you very, 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 very rarely ever went with more than 40 miles outside of where you grew up. So think about where you are and think about 40 miles in any direction, and that's all you would ever see in your whole life.
Yeah.
And you would only know and befriend the people in your village, because chances are if you walked into another village, they were going to fucking cut your head off or tie you to a stick for being a witch.
Be honest, there's probably some kids from Ridgewood, Queens. That's still the story.
I know a person who, I won't mention her name, who was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and has only been to Manhattan twice.
I'm going to say there's a good chance the last name is Irish, like a Keegan, and first name has got to be like a, let's go,
Ian Keegan.
Ian Keegan. That's
Ian
a good
Keegan.
Irish name.
Has not been to Manhattan. Has been to Manhattan twice.
That's wild.
And this person, is in their 50s now. And if you guys don't know, if you're not familiar with New York City, Brooklyn.
It's 10 minutes away.
It's 10 minutes away, and it's New York fucking city. It's Manhattan. We call all 5 boroughs encompassing New York City, but Manhattan, I'm talking about Manhattan, where Times Square is. If you've never been here, you have, kind of no way to understand the geography. Brooklyn.
If you're Amish and you're listening to this.
If fucking Zechariah's listening, because he's my new stepdad, welcome to the show. You don't understand how fucking wild it is that you have only been to Manhattan twice in your life when you live Brooklyn. This person can see downtown Manhattan, the Freedom Tower, and where the old World Trade Center used to be, from her house. From the 5th floor of the building, she can see it, and she's only been there twice. So make no mistake, there are still people alive today that live in 100% isolation because they choose to.
Yeah.
And those people are Taínos. No, I'm kidding.
I was actually off. It was 1607 that
You're
Jamestown
a dumb fucking asswipe.
I am. 1607 is when Jamestown
but we do
was
not
founded.
fact check on this podcast, just like Michael Rappaport does not fact check.
But it started, 1603, 1604. They started planning it, started commissioning it. And the Virginia-London Company went down, sent some people. They went down there. A lot of them died. A lot of them died from disease. They ran into trouble. The Indians fucking slaughtered some of them. They traded with some of the Indians, whatever. But 2 years had gone by, and most of them were dying. They were starving, and they were about to abandon the settlement. As they were abandoning the settlement, reinforcements came in, and King James was like, "Look, we're going to do a little bit more of a little more of a militaristic type approach over there. Yeah. We're going to kill some fucking Indians, and we're going to be a little more harsher, and we're going to stick it out." And they tried everything there. They tried every resource there to try to make it profitable, to make a profit for the Virginia-London Company. They tried everything, glass making, whatever. Nothing really worked. Nothing really was found to be their cash crop until a dude by the name of John Rolfe. John Rolfe.
Yeah.
Changed the fucking course of history, cuz.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for John Rolfe and those reinforcements coming, Jamestown could have been abandoned. Who knows? This country could have been Spanish.
Legit.
Because Spain was here and they were doing good. Those kids were doing good.
And then we were eating calamari sandwiches.
But we end up speaking English. It's all because of England. And it's all started with Jamestown when Jamestown became a fucking cash cow of a profitable colony, and it's all because of John Rolfe, what he did. Tobacco was already starting to get popular. We learned it from the Native Americans. The Spanish kids took it from the Native Americans, but the Native American kind of version of tobacco wasn't as sweet. It was like a little harsh. It wasn't as popular in England yet.
Right.
But John Rolfe, he figured out that Jamestown, the land was perfect, nice and moist, fucking moist.
Yeah, it was basically America's puss.
Yeah, it was America's puss for tobacco.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So he tried tobacco, they sent it back, and it took off.
Yeah.
And it just spread because, of course, fucking everyone now loves tobacco. It's all over the world. And so tobacco is what made, and then Jamestown and Virginia, the most important state in, the Union.
Well, yeah, what would eventually become the Union, yeah.
What would eventually become the Union all grew around tobacco.
So, basically how, you would think like New York is the, most important city in the United States. I know some people will argue, and some people are like, no, it's Austin, it's Portland, it's fucking Chattanooga. Shut up.
Or the people, it's Texas. No, it's fucking New York.
No, I'm talking about economically, it's New York, right? This is what Virginia, the town of Jamestown, Virginia, was basically was the most important town at that time of that empire.
Yeah.
Was it the British Empire, though, or was it the Spanish Empire? Who owned Virginia in 1607?
This was Jamestown There was no Virginia yet.
But okay, who owned the land that encompassed Jamestown? That was modern day Virginia.
It was fucking Indians.
So no, Spanish or British had not started a war yet to claim.
Spanish had colonies there. Spanish kids were there.
And nobody was the British hadn't started a war with them yet to try to take it back.
No.
Because eventually the British are going to take it from the Spanish.
This is the first time the British kids came in there. Remember, before that, the British, but way before you had Columbus and all those cats go there.
But that was for Spain. He's sailing for Spain.
He was sailing for Spain, but he was an Italian kid.
He was an Italian kid sailing for Spain on the Nina the Pinta and Santa Maria. But
right. But this is when England got into the fight.
That's my question is, like, I knew Columbus was there, but that was all Spain discovering it. So my question is England getting close right now to putting their fucking dirty dicks in it?
Well, now they already have put their dirty dicks in it.
Yeah, because of tobacco.
Because of Jamestown.
Well, but
Jamestown's where it started.
byproduct of tobacco.
Yeah. Well, Jamestown stuck. I mean, originally it was just there, and they were trying to figure something out. They were like, let's try to get whatever resources we can there,
right,
and see if we can become profitable.
Yeah, because the numbers were starting to get low in Jamestown.
Yeah, and look, the British economy wasn't doing good in the mainland.
Britain wasn't kind of like. Yeah, it was okay.
They were kind of going through a recession. I guess the modern day translation would be like
Greece.
A recession kind of. Yeah, things were slow. So they would go out on these expeditions to try to find resources to enrich their homeland.
Right.
And so they went and they set up Jamestown. But what happened was they didn't figure much out. Nothing really worked. They struggled to survive. They had to trade a little bit with the Native Americans to eat. The Native Americans really fucking ran them for a couple years. It was like they were the ones who were in charge.
Right.
And,
but they were peacefully in charge, Native Americans, right?
They raided them. They raided. Yeah, they did a few raids too. Steal guns, just fucking rape. They did. People are people.
Yeah, it's like everybody wants to talk about, go up in arms about, going back in history and be like, how could you honor that person? Look what they did. It's like, it's of the times, guy. Okay?
Yeah.
It's like, nobody today is going to do what even the kindest people who were alive in the 1600s were going to do. Nobody was going to. I mean, the kindest people even still did fucked up things, so they just had no knowledge.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. We're all the same. So there were some nice dudes.
Yeah.
Some days were good.
The bottom line is it's all tribalism, okay?
Yeah.
The bottom line is you see someone who doesn't look like you, there's things way back in your fucking DNA cells that frighten you about that. Our brains now, and because of all the things that we know, of course we can override that, and I'm not going to hurt someone who doesn't look like me, but back in the day when they had these more primal kind of brains, they would. And that's just what happened. That's just any animal in the animal kingdom does that.
Some interactions with the Native Americans were cool. Some of them were cute.
Some of them were
good. They traded. It ran the gamut.
They probably, I'm sure some Native American pieces got banged out.
Yeah.
I'm sure some British pieces got banged out.
Yeah.
Some white pieces got banged out. And I know the Spanish pieces got banged out because they just fucking they're sexy girls.
Yeah.
And they're sexy women, too. The people of Spain are beautiful peeps.
They are.
Yeah.
But advantage was definitely for the Native Americans at that point.
Numbers-wise.
Numbers-wise, just power-wise, and also Spanish kids. I'd give them the advantage.
Knowing the land. And it's not like these Native Americans weren't strapped. They were strapped up because they got weapons from the Spanish.
Yeah, they were also getting weapons from British. That's how the British got food. A lot of they traded their guns, gunpowder, whatever.
They would give them gats.
To be like, here's an old school gat. Because remember, gat. This is the beginning of gats being around.
Yeah.
Right. This is like, when did gats come into existence?
I think the first gat was invented by the Chinese, right?
Yeah. Well, the first gat was invented in Europe, but gunpowder. Yeah, came from China.
Was invented by the
So,
Chinese.
John Rolfe, this kid fucking doesn't get it. I mean, he's not talked about enough. I mean, obviously a lot of people know about him, but I mean, if you're really thinking about what started America into being an English-speaking powerhouse and British colony, it's fucking John Rolfe.
That's the answer.
And his idea, what he did was he took the Spanish seeds for tobacco. They're called Nicotiana tabacum. So that's where tobacco comes from. And he took these seeds and he planted them in the James River, and it produced this kind of like milder taste that set the European standard and just blew the fuck up. And the demand for it in England and all over Europe just kind of became so huge that the demand for workers and business in Jamestown grew, and then Jamestown eventually grew into fucking Virginia. So, and then, of course, we know all the stuff that happened after that, wars between the French and the Spanish and the Indians, and everyone's jockeying for position, and it ends up becoming America. But it all really started in freaking Jamestown. What's the answer to it, Ice?
For the Gatling gun?
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you guys have a
the
guess?
first gun ever. Like, when was the gun invented? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's got to be around the 1600s sometime.
The first recorded use of a firearm was in 1892.
No, that can't be, cuz. No. Wow, ISIS just got some wild info.
What did he get?
1892. I mean, the whole Civil War was fought with guns. We're dumb kids.
Yeah.
We're a
Wait, hold
couple of
on. I'll
fucking
find it.
dumb kids.
No, I think the gun was invented. What did you say? What was it?
Well, the first recorded use of a firearm, I'm getting 1892. I'm also seeing that in the late 15th century, the Ottoman Empire used firearms as a part of its regular infantry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the Spanish and the Spanish and the British in the 1600s had freaking guns, no?
Yeah, they had gats.
They had gats.
The Gatling gun I'm seeing didn't come in till like 1860.
Here, gunpowder was invented in the Tang Dynasty in 700 AD.
I was correct.
Yeah. Tang, and Tang's a good drink.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yo, the Indians, the Native Americans in that area of what became Virginia and what at the time became Jonestown
Yeah.
or Jamestown.
Wow, we got to do an
Jonestown.
episode on Jonestown,
We do.
too. Holy shit.
But when the Honkadonks came, it became Jamestown. Those Indians were called Powhatans. Fucking wild.
Wow.
And they went to war, and it was called the Anglo Powhatan Wars. So the British and the natives, they fucking slugged it out.
And that was that involved I believe the guy's name was Delaware, right? Who they named Delaware after, Governor Delaware. So you see that state of Delaware, you just know that motherfucker loved tobacco.
Yeah, they brought him in, and he's the cat that really fucking came down hard on the Native Americans.
Unfortunately, somebody has to drop the hammer. I don't want to see it happen, but unfortunately, there needs to be a villain, and you think that fucking Delaware is just a little drive-through state and just named after probably some fucking, kid who just wanted to surf and just be boring and spend his whole life, just kind of around the Washington, D.C. area where it's like just, you just thought it was the first state that signed the Constitution and that was it. That signed the Declaration of Independence and that was it. But the truth is that Delaware was named after a guy who fucking killed a lot of Native Americans.
He did.
Unfortunately.
Delaware was actually, it was 3 words. His name was Lord de la Warr.
Yeah.
W-A-R-R.
Yeah, baby. So it's in the name.
Yeah, so it's Lord de la Warr.
He was fucking ready to go.
Yeah.
And what year is this?
This was fucking 16-something, 1609.
Well, I want to get to the big part. When did my fucking girl show up?
Yo, we're talking about 160-fucking-9, cuz the Virginia Company, that's when they drafted their new charter for Jamestown. And we're talking about it became a cartoon. This is where it all goes down.
Yeah, this is part I'm excited for because I used to jerk off to this character every day.
Yo, but she was like, what? She captured the imagination because she was only around for a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And basically what she was kind of just like of a Native American sellout.
Yeah.
She kind of just was captured by Jamestown. She was captured by the British.
Yes.
No, she wasn't captured. John Smith. Captain John Smith was captured by the Powhatan Indians, and then she supposedly spared his life, right? And then they captured her, and then she married and changed her name to Rebecca.
But whose given name was Pocahontas.
Yeah!
Pocahontas.
But you know, there's a lot of contention about what really actually happened. Like, they don't really
Well, what
know.
do we think happened? We're the History Hyenas here. What happened?
I'm gonna say
honestly.
Yeah, what I'm gonna say is my street smarts is telling me.
Yeah.
Because the story, there's a lot of myth around what happened.
And of course, Walt Disney's gonna fucking make things wild.
Yeah.
That dude froze his own head.
And even the myth story is that they were about to chop off fucking Smith's head, right?
Yeah.
And then Pocahontas laid her head in front of it.
Which is probably not true.
Probably not true.
Just like historians say, Nathan Hale said, I would basically whatever the thing was, I give what was Nathan Hale's famous quote when he was hung in the Revolutionary
Something about freedom.
No, it was something
Was it,
like
I only doubt I had one life
to live.
Give for my
my only
country.
regret is that I have but one life to live. One life to give for my country. The truth is, he was a 21-year-old kid right out of Ivy League and only was a spy for about 2 weeks and then got busted and hung. The truth is that he probably said nothing or cried and shit his pants like I would have, like all of us would have, and then in an effort in the war effort, in order to circulate it around the around the colonies to for the war effort, they made up that quote. So that's the truth usually about history. Shit didn't happen the way you think it happened.
Unfortunately, that's why History Hyenas podcast is probably as good a source as any, because unfortunately what you probably learn is probably not even true.
Yeah, because I'm telling you the fucking truth. The winners write the history books. So a lot of things that you think actually happened, guess what, cuz it didn't happen the way. Just like, listen, I'm an American kid. I fucking bleed red, white, and blue, dude. I would fucking have sex with a bald eagle if one ever flew close enough to my piece. But you gotta understand something. You gotta understand something.
Unfortunately,
yeah, a lot of times America are the bad guys.
sometimes.
Yeah, we kill a lot of people that don't need to be killed. Okay, we do a lot of fucking nasty things, and I'm not saying I want to fucking leave this country and throw our president out. I'm a fucking American kid, and I bleed red, white, and blue. But we're just talking about fact skis here. We're just being factuals right now. Sometimes America is not cute, but in fact, it's brutes.
Unfortunately, you know what? Here's the new game. When I say unfortunately, you gotta think of something to say.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh, do it again. Do it again.
So unfortunately,
My ass stinks today,
and unfortunately,
I got fucking. My feet are gross.
that's what we can do. I'm just gonna pimp you out. When you go on one of your rants, I'm just gonna keep going. Unfortunately, and you just gotta say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fucking Pocahontas married John Smith.
So this is what I'm thinking happened, right? Because what we do know is she did end up going to Europe. By the way, we should go to Europe, but let's just put it into perspective. Let's tell the truth. Yeah.
Pocahontas was 12 years old.
Yeah, she was a young kid.
She was a young kid.
Today she'd be considered a young fucking. She died at 20.
She died at 20, but she got married off at 12.
She was like 12, 13.
To John Smith, who was probably an older kid.
Probably, definitely an older
John
kid.
Rolfe.
John Rolfe, I meant to say. I'm sorry.
No, but it was John Smith. No, she married John Rolfe.
No, John Smith is the character from the movie.
Yeah.
But his real name was John Rolfe because Rolfe
yeah.
was too much of a German name and Walt Disney was not a Nazi sympathizer.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
He thought it was too much of a German name, so he made it Smith, more generic, because that's what these fucking Hollywood executives do. They want to make everything generic so the Midwest likes it. Because the truth is, if you got the Midwest behind you, you're selling tickets. Because the Midwest is just such a boring place. They have nothing to do but watch TV and listen to music. But if you live in New York or LA, you probably don't give a shit because you're probably living a fucking great life.
And unfortunately,
you're not living off the side of a highway and fucking having the best thing you'll ever do is fucking go to Walmart on a Friday night.
And unfortunately,
I live in New York City and I can speak freely and say whatever I want because I not only do I have a Puerto Rican kid so I can even get racist, but I'm 230 pounds and I'll fuck you up.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I'm a big kid, but
You would have been a god back then. If you walked in, they would have been like, we never saw a kid this big.
I got to be honest with you, I am a big kid, but I cannot hit hard.
No.
I box with our boy Sergio Chacon. Shout out Sergio Chacon, and he told Yannis in confidence that I do not hit hard because Sergio is our boxing instructor. And then Yannis told me, and I do not work with Sergio anymore. And Yannis cost Sergio thousands of dollars. Yeah.
So what I think happened is I think they fucking kidnapped. I think during one of the skirmishes, they just kidnapped her.
It was by force
because she was the chief's. She was the chief's daughter.
She was the chief's daughter.
Yeah. ISIS. What was her pop's name again? He was the chief.
Oh, I'm seeing that it was Powhatan.
Powhatan. So the reason they called them Powhatan Indians because of him, right?
Yeah.
Because they all shared a language, but they weren't really a tribe. He just controlled all these different tribes that shared the same language in that region.
So he was like a big time dude. He was a celeb back in the day.
He was the head of about 15,000 Indians.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids right there.
So he was like the president of whatever those Indians were called.
Yeah,
whatever.
he was like right now he'd be like 15,000 people. He'd be like an assemblyman for fucking the one Queens district.
Yeah, I mean the population has exploded, but back then that was a lot of kids.
Yeah,
and they all shared the same language, which ISIS would tell us what the language was called.
He was the leader of an alliance of Algonquin-speaking.
The Algonquins, famous for the Longhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kayo. So this was his daughter. So I think the freaking honkadonks kidnapped her, forced her to marry this kid, to try to make it like a alliance.
Barter peace kind of thing.
Yeah, be like, look, just like this is what it is. And then, but they brought her back to kind of show off kind of the noble savage. Like, look, we Christianized this savage.
This savage girl,
You know, that's when they started calling them noble savages and fuck them. You know, these were savages to these people, these tribal people. And they brought her over to England. And then she ended up dying on the way back, I think, on a boat or something like that.
Disease, right? Killed her?
But nobody knows how she died. She died at 20. But you know how she died? What street smarts would tell me? Like most of the Native Americans died. And most people don't say this because we're so politically correct now. We want to make everything in history politically correct, too. And we want to make the white man such a killer, which he was.
Yeah.
But only because, the technology was strong. I mean, Indians were killing fucking the honkadonks, too. And like we said, some of them were getting along. Some of them were trading. Some were peaceful. Some were violent. There was a lot of variation in history. But ultimately, what killed a lot of Native Americans? Fucking disease.
Disease, yeah.
So she went over to England. Her immune system, is not exposed to all those germs that they got over there. Unfortunately, that kid probably just caught a common cold and fucking died.
Unfortunately,
because honkadonks, British, dirty fucking kids.
Dirty fucking kids. You know what got you back in the day, big time? You know what would fucking get you bad? Smallpox.
Yeah.
That would get you 9 times out of 10. You got hit up with the pox. And the Europeans, the disease that the Europeans brought, I think a lot of people know this, the disease that the Europeans brought wiped out majority of the Native American population
most of them died.
In the U.S. And unfortunately, now most of them live on reservations in Arizona and make really good iced tea. And and they're alcoholics, unfortunately, because the U.S. government, we kind of took everything from them. So,
They got a couple casinos. No, that's a genocide. That's what happened.
That's a genocide.
But a lot of the genocide, and that's why I said we've become overly politically correct with history. It's like most of the genocide occurred because of just strictly germs.
It was
it's
nature.
Just germs. It's nature.
Yeah.
It's just the white kids were dirtier kids.
Yeah.
They were exposed to more.
Yeah.
You got to say Native Americans lived a little cleaner probably.
Probably.
I mean, we were living in cities with fucking rats.
Well, they lived all off the land.
Yeah, and they didn't have rats and all the garbage.
Anything they killed, they cooked. They used every part of the animal. They didn't throw bits of the animal into a water pond that it was the drinking source for the city.
So some of it was intentional. A lot of it, most of it actually, was the smallpox killing. Gave them blankets with smallpox on it and shit.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just also merely coming into contact with fucking white kids.
Because back in the day, you would have been really easy to take out because you cannot see.
Yeah.
And I don't think bifocals were invented yet, so I would hit you in the face with a stick. And you have not been able to see it until it was hitting your face and breaking open your skull.
Yeah, but you know what, cuz?
Yeah.
By 1630, we're talking about a colony that almost collapsed. That was
literally, I think it had 18 people left.
There was like only 18 people, and they were leaving. They were like getting on boats to try to fucking leave. They were starving and dying. And these, just coincidentally, they timed it right where these fucking reinforcements were coming, like on the same fucking day. And they said, we got your back. And
who's the reinforcements? From England. The English settlers who gave Jamestown a try were leaving to go back to England.
They were going to try to get the fuck out of
there. But a whole
there.
new shipment of settlers were coming in to see Jamestown.
Yeah, and they were getting terrorized by the Indians,
because nobody
too.
texted them and told them what was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, they were also getting terrorized by the Indians.
They were getting picked off kind of like systematically.
Yeah, they were getting brutalized.
Yeah.
And but by 1630, so we're starting from 1607 to 1630, there's over 1.5 million pounds of tobacco was being exported from Jamestown every year. So it took the fuck off and became a drug dealing center because nicotine and tobacco, it's a fucking drug.
Nicotine and tobacco is such a drug. I mean, think about what we know about, at least what's commercialized about nicotine. That your jaw will fall off. Your lungs will fall out. You'll have cancer, and yet people, like Yannis said in the beginning of the podcast, will go outside and smoke it in 10 degrees below zero. They'll do anything to smoke it to assist in killing themselves. Now, with that being said, I'm no different because I'm addicted to sugar, and now all the studies that come out say that, sugar is even worse for you than nicotine. I kind of think that, this is just my, obviously, own hypothesis, that how we look at smoking commercials, which we're going to show a couple here in a minute. How we look at smoking commercials about how, like, the fucking, Big Brother would just put out smoking and make, because it's such a big industry, would try to make smoking fun and do commercials. We would probably, I'm 34. I remember the Marlboro Man, and if you mailed in enough tops of cigarette packs, you would get like a free fucking helicopter and shit. I remember all that when smoking, was like, was popular and everything was positive about smoking. But now, of course, all the commercials are, your fucking face is going to fall off. I think that's what's going to happen with sugar. I think we're living in a time right now where sugar is like candy, yay. But like 100 years from now, maybe even less, it'll be like if you're eating sugar, you're going to kill yourself. Or there's going to be some type of invention that combats sugar. Or I could be completely wrong because sugar is a 10 times bigger industry than tobacco, and the government knows it's killing us, but they're going to kill us anyway because they don't give a fuck.
I think they've already announced that, and nobody cares. They've already announced that sugar fucking kills you.
Because we're so addicted to it,
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
It's so addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're right. I agree with you 100%. But the funny thing is that it's already happened. They've already come out and said that, but nobody cares. Mm-hmm. Nobody can give up sugar.
Cigarette packs, some of them just say on it, tobacco will kill you or like cause cancer or something.
But
Nobody cares.
nobody puts that on a cake yet. Nobody has put on a cake like,
put that on a
this
muffin.
Sugar will make you lose your feet, which is what happens. So Rolfe himself was an ardent smoker in 1611, and that's when he really started to fuck with the tobacco. But tobacco had been being brought to England from all the way back to like 1565, from places like Florida and shit like that. With so there was a ready market for tobacco in Britain. They just didn't. They were getting a lot of Spanish tobacco, but it just hadn't taken off. And for some reason, the tobacco that Rolfe grew in Virginia in that climate was just, it usurped all the previous tobacco and just took over. For some reason, the taste of it just was preferable. It was like, I don't know, and then it became like Coca-Cola. Like everyone just wanted Coca-Cola and they didn't want RC Cola.
Right.
Because for some reason, it took over. Who knows? Maybe they had advertising back then. Maybe they were doing like little pictures of like Indian, Native American women, like sexy, like, hey, smoke this tobacco.
Yeah.
Because then it just becomes marketing.
Well, Pocahontas was kind of used as like a marketing thing. They even changed her name to Rebecca.
Yeah. Well, she actually did change it. And that's the thing. Yeah, we don't know. Was she forced to change her name to Rebecca, or did she do it?
Yeah, who
knows?
knows?
They say she did it because she wanted to do it. They say she enjoyed it and she got kind of anglicized, but I don't know. Who knows? Who the freak knows what happened? But, as we know, tobacco is really what founded this country, and then other, of course, cotton and all the other resources that are so plentiful in America, and how arable.
Yeah.
City kid can't say arable.
You cannot say arable.
There's good land here, basically, and you can grow a lot of shit, and it became very profitable for Europe. And we know the rest of the history. We're only talking about the origins of tobacco and then where it ended up being. But tobacco went worldwide, and it turned into cigarettes and cigars.
And it's still around today. I mean, I like I said, I just came from the Amish country, and the Amish still cut and process tobacco the same way that they did it, 200 years ago. And before the cotton gin, this is what was killing slaves, and why there was even slavery in the United States was because of tobacco. And then once the cotton gin was invented, that, of course, became our, biggest export. But make no mistake, without tobacco, we would not be the United States we are today.
And make no mistake, without tobacco and how popular it got, there'd be more Native Americans, because what tobacco requires, you just like burning the fucking, once it's just like you burn land. So they needed to steal a lot of Indian land for their tobacco fields to spread. So they ended up killing a lot of Native Americans to make room for tobacco fields.
Can we now, Zach, can you pull up that Kool ad? Because I want Kool, Kool, the smoking, the cigarettes that you could still find in stores today. I mean, the commercial for them I believe it was in the 1950s, somewhere in the 1950s, was fucking wild. I mean, how, like, you listen to this commercial now and you're like, huh? Go ahead, play it. Thanks, bud.
It's the best.
Switch from Hearts to Snow Fresh Filter Cool.
Oh, wow.
Snow Fresh Cool tastes so clean, so refreshing, so cool.
As cool and as clean as a breath of fresh air. That's Snow Fresh Filter Cool.
So cool.
Your mouth feels clean, your throat refreshed. The finest leaf tobacco, mild, refreshing menthol, and the world's most thoroughly tested filter. That's Snow Fresh Filter Cool. Why don't you switch from Hearts to the Snow Fresh coolness of cool?
Wow. I mean, it's like beautiful. It was a
As
penguin
cool
ice
and as
skating.
clean
They're
as
showing
a breath of fresh air.
a river.
America's most refreshing
If you're a kid watching this,
cigarette.
you're going like,
Snow Fresh.
look at that
Filter
fun. What is that, a penguin?
Bye-bye.
Yeah, the penguin. Bye bye. I mean, that literally.
Yeah.
If you put that on, I mean, it's like an ad for fucking like just like a My Pillow. It's like just fun, friendly.
So many ads of, yeah. So Virginia just became a powerhouse, and things developed through the 1800s. There was two types of dominant tobaccos coming out of Virginia, and tobacco spread everywhere. Became big business, multi-billions and billions of dollars. Fucking everyone, Chinese kids, Indian kids, everyone's smoking. And it all started with the Native American tobacco that they used to smoke, but then we took and changed it a little bit.
And it was crazy too when they first brought it back. When they first brought tobacco back on with Columbus, people were getting because it was like this Spanish Inquisition and all that, and it was all like religion, God-fearing people. They had never seen it before, and because you could blow smoke out of your nose and mouth, just think of anybody smoking a cigarette today, people were getting thrown in jail and getting excommunicated from the Catholic religion because they believed they had Satan in their bodies.
Yeah, it was at first viewed as something that was not palatable. It was looked at as gross.
Gross, what it is now. It's everything goes in a fucking loop, people.
Yeah.
Just like clothing, now clothes that were not popular are becoming popular again. Now everybody wants a vintage fucking t-shirt or video game, all that shit. That's what happens with smoking. Anything that's cool now will not be cool, and then it's going to be fucking cool again, and vice versa. It's just the way the world works, because make no mistake, this is a simulation, and you are living inside a video game, and if you believe anything else, then you're a dumb fucking kid. But if you got size double D's, send me a DM.
Yeah, it's a brutal simulation if it's a simulation. It only got kind of fun to say that now, because back then, if you were an indentured servant and then that led the way to slavery, I mean, fucking
Indentured
tobacco
servant-
is a labor-intensive crop.
Very labor intensive. You would spend upwards of 16 hours a day bent over at 90-degree angles.
You got to dry the fucking leaves out. It's a whole fucking thing.
It's a whole thing. And the indentured servitude was brutes magoots, because you would tell some 15-year-old kid in England or whatever country, hey, of course, black kid, you would tell most of them, you would say, hey, you're not married, why don't you come live, why don't you work as my servant for 4 years, and then you'll get land in Virginia. It'll be fucking cute. It's not brutes. But then you would get there, and of course the labor conditions, you would be treated as a slave and beaten and whipped and have no rights. And you would work most of the time to the death. A lot of these kids died because their bodies weren't adjusted to the climate or to the disease and to the work. And then once your 4 years were up, it just took one fucking nasty-ass slave master to rip up your contract and then say, yeah, well, I fucking own you, fuckface. I'm not giving you land, so go back to work or I'll kill you and your new family. So that's the truth of what the world used to be. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But, it's just crazy how tobacco just took off. Who would have guessed? Think about it.
Yeah.
How wild is that you go to the New World. Think about this. Now, let's think about how crazy this is.
I want
for
to
a
think
second.
about it with you.
Food, drink, things you need for sustenance, clothes,
Right.
cotton, salt, minerals, all these resources that people
Right.
need for sustenance. None of them turned out to be profitable
None
for
of
the
them.
Virginia London Company. What turned out to make America, what turned out to be the key cash crop for the Jamestown settlement, was some strange type of Indian crop that they smoked.
Right.
That gave you a little buzz. It doesn't even give you that much of a fucking buzz. You don't even get high from it, cuz.
Yeah.
You just get addicted to
It's
it.
all fucking marketing.
But back then it wasn't. This is pre-marketing.
Yeah.
How wild? Yo, what is that? What is up with tobacco?
No, because
Are people stressed out and they just need to feel like they're breathing heavy?
Because it's so addictive. But then at some point it does become marketing. Because the iPhone is not that good of a phone. The Samsung is a better phone. But it's just the iPhone is more marketable.
Because before you say things like that, we gotta call Samsung and make sure they give us a fucking check.
Yeah.
You just promoted them. Bad.
Rafael DeLuca, make a mix about Samsung, even though I got 17 iPhones.
Yeah. Yo, and then by 1650, so it really exploded from 1612 when John Rolfe started growing his Spanish tobacco.
Started growing his piece in Pocahontas.
Yeah, Nicotiana tobacco, all the way to 1650, where a dude named Edward Diggs planted some Orinoco tobacco seeds by the York River, and then that was another type of tobacco. It was like light-colored, and it was known as like sweet-scented tobacco, and that became the most popular tobacco in London. So, you know, it was started by John Rolfe, and then Edward Diggs kind of picked up the fucking mantle, but either way, it just took off from all of the 1600s, and then by the time 1700s rolled around, 1704, around that time, they were overproducing. They were overproducing tobacco. They were like farmers were like producing tobacco in their backyards. It was just fucking tobacco everywhere in freaking Virginia. And so the General Assembly back in England passes an act that amended a previous act of the staple of tobacco, and this was for preventing frauds that weren't inspected, like basically black market tobacco,
Right.
from flooding the market, because
Right.
it was being. It's kind of like weed today. It's kind of like marijuana today. Now that it's legal, there's like, some of it is like legal, and then you got your black market.
We could do a whole episode about William Hearst.
Oh, we will.
Or we could do a whole episode about William Hearst and about how they just made marijuana this fucking negative thing because they couldn't get money on it after taxes and stuff. Marijuana is like that. If anything, should have been as illegal, and you should be thrown in jail for smoking cigarettes, not marijuana.
But yo, check this out. During this time, there was obviously wars with the Indians and other colonies and
Right.
stuff. But when the Revolutionary War comes around in 1776,
That's my favorite war, Colonial Chrissy D.
planters in Virginia stopped really growing tobacco, and they turned to growing wheat to support the Revolutionary War effort, and tobacco production drops from 55 million pounds to only 14.5 million pounds.
And what
They
happened?
needed to feed those kids. They were like, yo, we need to make food
Yeah.
before you can smoke.
It's all about necessity.
But then it blew up, cuz.
Yeah.
And then so now we'll just jump ahead, right? Because now everyone's smoking. It's in style. The 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. As the 1800s become the 1900s, and the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, everyone's smoking. Upper class people are smoking. It's around the world. Everyone's smoking. There's all these brands. There's tons of brands that if you go to YouTube and look at all the old cigarette commercials, there's tons of brands that you never hear of that were doing well back then. Until this is where advertising this is like the most revered moment in advertising.
Okay.
All these brands doing good, and then sort of like the fucking iPhone of cigarettes. Because, the iPhone, like you said, good product, but it's a lot of marketing. The Marlboro Man.
Yeah.
Marlboro came in and fucking just housed everyone, and they did it with advertising.
Yeah.
Because before then, people were advertising tobacco, and their advertisements were kind of like, ours is the best, see? Because when you smoke ours, the ratio of tobacco to the cool is about 25%, and scientists say that gives you the best flavor. You see? So smoke cools. It'll make it. But then what Marlboro realized is it's not even about the cigarette and what it is. It's not about really the quality. It's about the lifestyle.
Yeah.
So they started advertising.
They put a cute fucking cowboy up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when advertising really shifted, and now that's all you see nowadays is advertising based on the Marlboro Man. based on.
But there's no positive advertising for cigarettes anymore. How do they stay in business, cigarettes, now with no more advertising?
Because people still love to smoke. But I'm saying, like, all the advertisements you see are all lifestyle based. So it's like you see Red Bull. It's not about Red Bull. It's about some dude on a snowboard going like, yeah, and they're going like, they affiliate a lifestyle with the product. And so that's what Marlboro did, and that was the paradigm shift that occurred in advertising that influenced all the advertising you see today. Think about the iPhone. Think different. They're showing all these fucking geniuses. It's got nothing to do with the technology of the iPhone. It's all about a lifestyle. It's guys dancing with their headphones on. Yeah, we're cool. We're fucking trendsetters. Diamond Dick Face shoots the gold nugget. Basically, every advertisement you see is basically saying Diamond Dick Face shits the gold nugget. Doesn't matter what the product is. It just means you will be cool as fucking shit if you use our product.
That's what
it
is.
So the Marlboro man, some cowboy dude.
Some fucking honka-donk.
Yeah, with a nice sharp. That kid had a good jawline.
I'd love to fucking gargle his piece.
He had a good jawline with a nice fucking hat on.
You know what I want to smoke? His dick.
Yeah. So Marlboro kind of just took over, and they did it by advertising. And Marlboro still, to this day, is the most popular cigarette in the world, and a lot of those cigarette brands I was talking about where you can go watch commercials of on YouTube just went out of business. Like Kent and whoever knows. They were all some of them.
I remember Kent.
Yeah, they're all just gone.
They're truly out of business now.
And I think
can you Google cigarette brands?
Wait. Yeah, just
it's
go.
It's funny to think about that.
Yeah, well, actually, go to old cigarette commercials, and there's a compilation of a whole bunch of joints that aren't even around anymore. I think every one of the commercials is a cigarette company that doesn't exist.
Well, I can only think, what do we still have? Parliaments, Marlboro, Cool still exists.
Camels, yeah, Cool.
Camels.
You ever Newports and Cools?
Newports, yeah.
Do you ever notice that like a lot of black dudes smoke Newports and Cools, but the reason it's advertising. You look at the advertisements, they advertise to them. You go on the subway, it's just like a black couple, and I love how the teeth are always just perfectly white.
But you don't see that anymore, though. You don't see. They don't advertise.
No, because there's a real war, a just war, a righteous war on cigarettes, on tobacco, because it kills you.
Duh.
And it's such a burden on the healthcare system, and that always that sparks the debate, right? It's like, hey, personal responsibility. This is the thing about you fucking libertarian people. It's like we live in a society.
Here we go. Wait, hold on. Before we start going, please welcome to the stage, Freddie, Fox News, feta cheese, fuckface, Pappas.
Here's the thing you don't understand.
Yannis the cuck.
Personal freedom, individual rights are a must. They are paramount. You don't have that, you don't have a free society. You're not living in a righteous place or a place that's trying to be righteous. But we do live in a society. So you can't just be free to smoke whatever you want, because you want to know why? I'm going to pay that fucking healthcare cost.
Right.
Or else we're just going to let people die in the street because people can't afford the fucking healthcare. You see? So you can't... you can't be living utopian ideals. You got to understand that there's practical reasons for things that you got to try to balance libertarian ideas with some socialist ideas to make this whole fucking thing work.
You can't deny three words: the amenities
of modernity.
Yeah.
No, cuz go to the videos. Go to videos, cuzzy Wuzzy. Yeah, old cigarette.
Cuzzy Wuzzy was great,
but it's about 12 minutes long.
Yeah, but we just watch a few.
By the way, if you guys want to join the
quick.
matriarch and be a part of our matriarchal society, go to patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys.
Yeah, watch it. This is cool. We'll just watch the first few.
Let's watch a couple, and then we're out of here.
Yes, Old Gold. The cigarette with nearly 200
Look at
years
this.
of
Old
tobacco
Gold, it's
know-how
called.
behind
What the
it.
fuck is that
Made
even?
by tobacco men, not medicine men. Smoother, milder, tastier, Old Gold cigarettes. Old Gold. The cigarette that treats you better in every way. Because in every way, it's a better cigarette.
Have you ever heard of Old Gold cigarettes?
Never, ever, 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 ever.
Gone. Taken out probably by Marlboro.
Bye.
Well, it's like I keep saying all the time. If you want a treat instead of a treatment, get a pack or a carton of Old Gold cigarettes. You'll love them as much as I do.
Look at this one, Muriel. I mean, there's so many fucking cigarette brands. Yeah, see? Smoke on Muriel's. They're really good, see? Fast forward this one, because the volume is shitty on this one. They used to have, the best is they used to have doctors.
Menthol.
Oh, there you go. Look at marketing to the blacks.
Tipple burgundy.
Tipple cherry.
Tipple natural.
Tipple wild blueberry.
Tipple. I've never, right on the community board, if you've ever heard of any of these. Tipple?
Muriel, the big name
Old
in small
Gold.
cigars.
Small cigars.
I remember an uncle of mine whom I loved
This
very
is the
much.
best.
He lived by the sea, and I often spent all
saw
day
this
on the
one.
beach with him, just walking along. He liked to smoke cigars, and each time he took one out, he asked me the same question. Do you like music? Yes, I'd say. Well then, here's a band for you. He'd put the Robert Burns band on my finger.
They want to get those
and we'd
kids.
go on walking in the sun.
Kids like 7 years old.
Years later, that memory made me start smoking
I love
Robert
cigars.
Burns. This is the Robert Burns Panatella. An especially wonderful cigar with a rich
this
and
guy's
comfortable
dead.
taste.
100%
Because the
dead.
tobaccos
Dead
are
for a
nature's
long
That guy
time for
did that
mild
commercial with
and
no
better
fingers.
taste. No artificial quick curing for Robert Burns.
Look at those tobacco
Every
leaves.
leaf is slow cured in clean air. Why don't you smoke a Robert Burns cigar soon? They come
Well,
in
tobacco
5
leaves
different
are big.
shapes,
Yeah.
from
Yo,
2
you
for a
think Native
quarter to
Americans used to
25
bang
cents.
out and then afterwards smoke a peace pipe like we do a cigarette after sex?
100%. They would smoke their, no, because I think they listen to Biggie and they know never get high on your own supply.
It's filter tip Pall
Good
Mall.
point, cuz.
Yes,
You're a smart
filter tip
kid.
Pall Mall.
Yeah, I'm a Brooklyn
the
kid.
new luxury length for a taste
Here's
that
another one.
challenges comparison.
What's this one called? Oh, Pall Malls.
Oh, Pall Malls are still
They're
around.
still around. Those are for like, Jewish grandmothers in Long Island. Give me a pack of Pall Malls.
Quality money
Can I get
buy.
100s, please?
Pall Mall's famous range of fine tobaccos with a filter tip. Now filter cigarettes.
You used to smoke cigarettes, Yannis.
I did.
When's the last time you smoked a cigarette?
Well, I smoked for that year I lived in Miami, and then I stopped by doing snooze, and we'll end by talking about snooze.
Yeah.
But look at this company, Pall Malls.
I like.
But Pall Malls, this is when Pall Malls were huge. Now they're like,
Just
they
every
cost like
commercial-
75 cents a pack now.
Every commercial is just white people dancing around on the beach. I mean, they absolutely pay no attention to any other group of people but white people in the 50s.
Oh yeah, before that. They're so cool to watch.
Hope it's better than your usual, Blinky.
You know them young cigarettes you fancy?
American Parliament?
Yeah, well, they come in a new size now. Parliament 100. It's the only 100 with a recessed filter and
all
charcoal
marketing.
sides.
It's the perfect product. You hold the pack in your hand, you pull one out.
Professional
Just
secret
perfect.
Think you can get me some?
Try your inside pocket.
Just perfect.
They're here. New Parliament
These things
100.
kill you.
Tony,
Oh yeah.
I had a dream about you last night.
This guy's like James Bond.
What are they walking into the Palace of Versailles?
Looks like it.
That is the Palace of Versailles, actually.
I'm not sure.
She's a piece. No fumes.
She is a piece, yeah.
He gives her a smoke. Look at that. Oh no, he's smoking.
All right. You were away.
These kids are dead.
Wow, that guy's dressed in women's clothing. Why is that guy dressed in women's clothing?
Because he smokes parliaments.
Yeah, this has got to be the last one.
Cause
This guy's got high heel shoes on.
they're trying to market to the trans community.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, they're in a castle now, and they're sharing a smoke. See, it's just
What do
fucking.
you think?
It's all marketing.
Yeah.
I think we ought to talk about it.
Let's post this. We'll post this video on the community board of our Patreon page.
Here we go. No, look, these are L&M. You ever heard of L&M?
L&M. Guys, Google L&M vintage
L&M
commercials.
No, L&M cigarettes. And look at
What a
another one,
wonderful
Montclair.
gift.
They're all out of business.
All right.
Montclair's menthol
Yeah.
is in the tip,
Yeah.
not in
Just
the
a tip.
tobacco.
All right.
Marlboro
Remember-
won the whole thing, man.
Yeah, Marlboro crushed everybody. But now, you know, I don't smoke. I never smoked. There was one time where I smoked a cigarette. I remember the guy, I smoked a cigarette, and then my mother thought I was smoking a cigarette, which I was, and I burned the cigarette out in my basketball shorts. I had a big cigarette hole in my shorts. And my mom, you know, because I have an old school Irish Catholic mom, she thought because I was smoking cigarettes, you
were doing crack
in
or
seventh grade.
something.
I was doing crack. I was having premarital sex. I was sinning. So
Well, she was right on most of those counts.
100%.
Yeah.
I never smoked another cigarette again. But Yannis, Freddie Cheese Pappas, smoked cigarettes like my Aunt Eileen.
I used to smoke, a lot. I smoked in high school, smoked in college for a little while. So always off and on. Then I moved to Miami. I started smoking.
And then you
The
stopped
way-
cigarettes.
I quit by doing snus.
So what is snus?
The snus is freaking interesting because it's like the Americans have now copied it.
Okay.
Camel has released a type of snus. but it's not the same.
I've been with Yannis where he got fucking irate mad because I remember we were in Virginia and there was no, which is wild. We were in Virginia, the fucking tobacco capital of the world, and you could not find snooze for about half an hour, and I thought you were gonna fucking cry.
I'm addicted to it. I was addicted to it.
But you got
so
off
I needed
it.
it. I got off it. Now I don't do anything. I miss it bad. But it's interesting. These Swedish kids, they're smart. They figured out a way to, like, they almost pasteurize, and it's a government standard that they have to meet with what they do with the tobacco. And it's the Swedish process that's only done in Sweden, where it's the equivalent of, like, pasteurizing the tobacco, and it takes all the bad chemicals out. And, of course, the thing that makes tobacco the worst for you is when you burn it, when you combust it, and the tar and all that shit gets in your lungs. So right off the bat, that's removed. So this process that they do, which is only done in Sweden, and the company that dominates in Sweden is General, Swedish Match, and now they're exporting the United States and stuff. But it's weird because the EU has made snus illegal, but snus has been proven to be the most safe form of tobacco and nicotine intake.
So then what? There's got to be some kind
There's
of
no
tax
links.
reason.
There's no, it's all business reasons because they found that because the country Sweden and Scandinavia, like Sweden, Norway, those countries, but especially Sweden, they like smoking is like way down because of snus. People switch to snus, and because of that, cancer is like way down. And they haven't even found any links between snus and not even oral cancer. And it's a pouch you put in your mouth. You don't have to spit. And it's in your, it's by your gum. And the nicotine seeps into your gum. And you don't have to, you can swallow the juices.
How does it not cause oral cancer?
Dude,
what does
I
it
don't
have
know.
that not have?
I don't know.
Interesting.
It's that pasteurizing process.
Right.
It's the process they put it through that for whatever they do to it, that they figured out how to do, which I don't know the science behind, makes it safe, supposedly.
Right.
And so it's bad. It's crazy. But, Joe, they invented it goes all the way back to 1637. Snus. But then it, like, died out, and it was like, but Swedes have some fucking Swedish kid figured out some type of snus all the way back to 1637.
He was just putting tobacco leaves in his lip?
He figured something out, cuz. I don't know what they do with it. It's some sort of pasteurization process.
Right.
That's the equivalent. They don't even really explain it well when I researched it. It's like they do some shit to it that cleans it out, like freeze dries it or whatever, and makes it the safest form of intake possible.
You want to be a fucking Norwegian bad. You fucking love their women. You love their land. You love their products. You love their comedy. You fucking want to be a Norwegian kid, but the truth is, cuz, unfortunately, you're a fucking Turk.
There's no way
You're from
around
the
it.
Middle East,
You looked
cuz.
kind of upset for a second.
He got upset because it's true. Fucking Ancestry.com said you were Turked out.
They have no... I got nothing to say, cuz the truth is what it is. I'm 25% in my DNA.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and listen to the Greeks.
And I'm just a kid fucking born and raised in Bogota, Colombia. It is what it is.
I mean, look, you're a Filipino kid from the Bronx. You made it, cuz. Reality is a suggestion. For two Cuban kids that swam to this country, we're doing fucking good.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna fucking marry Trash Monkey the Hyena one day.
Cuz you're a cute black kid.
Yeah. Yo, if you guys had a good time on this podcast, because we had a fucking time, tell your friends, get us on iTunes, get us on Riotcast. If you want to be part of the matriarchy and get more behind-the-scenes shit, including behind-the-scenes videos of Jamestown, Virginia, Colonial Williamsburg, and Babe Ruth's house in Baltimore, Maryland, go to patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys. Those videos will be out shortly. And you can go to my website, chrisdcomedy.com, and see all my comedy shows coming up.
Cute. Patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys. Most importantly, tell your friends, spread the word. We're waiting for the first person to show us that they got 5 people recommended. We're going to send you that photo of us in bathing shorts drinking smoothies. Much appreciated, everybody.
Yes.
Stay cute.
And we're
stay
gonna read out the Patreon names of all our new members of the matriarch next episode.
Also, our Patreon only. Go join, because this week we're going to be talking about something a little off topic. We're going to be talking about Louis C.K.'s return to comedy. He did it last night for the first time in 9 months at the Comedy Cellar, and we sat down with the owner of the Comedy Cellar, Noam, and we talked about it with Noam. So
But we talked about it weeks. We talked about it
a couple weeks before this
weeks
happened.
before, so it's wild.
It's wild. So go join our Patreon to hear about it. It's unrelated, but we thought it would be cool for you guys.
Yeah.
We'll release it. So on our Patreon, if you're interested in hearing
Timely.
it, yeah, go
All
check
right.
it out.
Patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys. Thank you so much. Cackles out. Woo, woo, woo.